Hello, everyone. I see some friends and known faces. Thank you very much. So nice to see you all. We'll be managing this conversation with Carmine Pacente, and we have also our colleague Elisabetta Urroni, who is also following it from a technical point of view. So we are now 40 people online. I think if you don't mind, I will start because I know that Carmine has a sharp at 6:30 another call. So if we want to benefit as much as possible from his presence, I think we should start. All right, so as an introduction, ALDA organized 3 high-level webinars in the course of these last 2 months. And one was the head of the Europe for Citizen unit at the European Commission. One was the president of the European Economic Social Committee, Luca Jaillet. And we are very pleased to host for this very precious hour our colleague and friend, Carmine Pacente. Carmine is a councillor of the city of Milan. He is president of the Commission on Europe of the city. He is also president of the Commission on Europe of the Association of Municipalities, Italian municipalities of the region Lombardia. And he has been recently appointed member of the Committee of the Region in his capacity of councillor. So he is the perfect go-between local level and the European level. And he is a very old and close friend of ALDA. ALDA has many projects with the city of Milan and the metropolitan area of Milan, where Carmine is also involved. And we wanted to give him the floor because, of course, we are also, all of us in Europe and beyond, impacted by the coronavirus. But to a certain extent, La Lombardia and Milan is the center of the tornado. And I think that on behalf of all of us, Carmine, we would like to pass to all of you our, deepest thoughts for what has been going on in this region and in this city, which we all love. I personally studied in Milan at university and lived there for 5 years. So it is also part of my life, and this is a city and a region which is essentially part of all Italians, because as we have already said many times with Carmine, what do we do without you, guys? So Milano and the Lombardia is, of course, like the top of our economy in Italy, and also such an important stakeholder. I will give the floor to Carmine, who is of course our guest, to ask Carmine to explain to us maybe today what is the situation in the city. I think that we have an international audience, Carmine. Yes. So we have people, I know all of them, they are from everywhere. They are very interested to know what's going on and how you are facing this situation nowadays, and how such a big city is facing such a critical moment. So that's one thing. And the other thing is also what you are trying to do very concretely in your capacity of being the contact with the European Union. Carmine is very involved in structural funding and policy orientation with the EU. So he has a very technical also presentation that he would like to share with you. On technical notes, after the presentation, we will open the debate. You know how Zoom is working, so you just have to raise your hand or write in the chat, and I will give you the floor. You can also turn on your microphone. So said that, I would like to give the floor now to Carmine for his introduction and presentation of the situation in Milan first and how you are reacting to this situation.
Yes, dear Antonella and dear all, thank you very much for your invitation, first of all. Yes, my name is Carmine Pacente, as Antonella said. I'm a member of the City Council of Milan, elected in 2016, and President of the Commission for European and International Affairs. I'm also a member of the National Association of Municipalities as President of the European Affairs Department in Lombardy. In Lombardy, we have 1,500 municipalities, around the 20% of the total in Italy. And member of the Committee of the Regions in the Commission COTER. It's important because the Commission COTER is involved for cohesion policy, European structural funds, and European budget. In fact, my proposal for the city of Milan in this situation, in this emergency, is focused on the European investment and structural funds. Two different proposals that I'd like to discuss with you. The first for the emergency in Milan in these weeks, in these months, and the second for the rebirth of Milan in the next 7 years multi-annual financial framework through European instruments. Which is the context? As you know, at the end of March, the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, proposed a coronavirus response investment initiative for all the member states of the European Union. A proposal of a new regulation for the European structural funds, the 2nd of April, approved by Parliament and Council in the last weeks. What does it mean? We can use these funds and we can shift the financial sources of the funds among programs. We have in Italy 51 national operational and regional operational programs, 51. We can shift among funds, these sources, the European Regional Development Fund and the European Social Fund. We can shift among regions, the more affected, my regions, Lombardy, or Piedmont, the region of Turin, or Veneto, the region of Venice, or Emilia-Romagna, the northern of Italy, generally, and we can shift among priorities, more urgent. And I think for the first time in the history of this European instrument, we can decide to co-finance or we can't co-finance with the national and regional funds these programs. What does it mean for Italy? Some numbers, because I think that are important. In the multi-annual financial framework 2014 and 2020, in Italy we have 50 billion euro, 50 billion euro of European structural and investment funds. Now, today, we have 40 billion euros selected for project, for call for proposals, 30 billion committed, so we can use, if we decide, who, the central government or other authorities, 10 or maximum 20 billion euro for emergency. The proposal of our national government was the 20% of the total for emergency, 10 billion euro. This is a proposal because there is a big debate in Italy, the central government and the regions, because we can use these new rules, but we are not obliged by the European Commission, of course. Secondly, which activities we can cover with these sources for emergency and who decide? the central government or the national and regional authorities? I answer later. This is the context. What about Milan? In Milan, we have a national operational program for metropolitan cities in the multi-annual financial framework 2014 and 2020. The Municipality of Milan is the intermediate body of the program, and the National Agency for Cohesion is the managing authority of the program. How many financial sources? This slide is really important. The total, 40.3 million euro. How many axes? 5. How many projects financed or co-financed? 31. The first axis is for digitalization. It's important because my proposal is focused on some of this topic. Axis 2, urban mobility, 6 projects around 11 million euro. Axis 3, services for the social inclusion, 10 projects co-financed, 10.5 million euro, more or less. Axis 4, infrastructure for social inclusion, not services, 3, but infrastructure, 11 million euro and 8 projects. The last, Axis 5, is for technical assistance, just 1 million euro. It's important because our managing authority said that we can use axis number 1, axis number 3, and axis number 4 for emergency. During last meeting yesterday, they opened for the axis number 2, urban mobility, but it's a work in progress. So there are some other possibilities because for the National Operational Program for Inclusion and for the National Operational Program for Legality, we are waiting for the formalization by the European Commission if we can add some financial sources for our emergency in Milan. The last 4 weeks, with the directors of the Municipality of Milan, we made the first cost estimating. In the first 4 months, February, March, April, and May, we need 11.2 million euro for the emergency. How many European funds we can use? 4 million of the total. This is the total, 40.3. We can use if we decide, because the projects are not selected. Maximum 8 million euro are activities not committed. The decision, of course, is political decision. So it depends on the mayor, it depends on the different stakeholders involved. Which kind of activities for emergency we can cover in Milan for this crisis? First, social services and health. Second, equipment for the emergency. Third, technical support, smart working. In details, what does it mean, social activities or measures? For example, reception of minors, management of people with disabilities, aged people, putting in safety at the center of reception, or buildings for needy people, economic support for rent payment, because this is a tragedy in Milan. Today there was a commission in the City Council of Milan about this point, the rent payment for a lot of people. Second, equipment for emergency means security of our staff. So masks, gloves, visors, glasses, sanitation of the local cars of police, and etc. And technical support, another important point, means software, hardware, technical devices, or smart tools and technical equipment. For what? For smart working and software development, because in the Municipality of Milan, we have today around 6,000 people, 6,000 workers in smart working. Software for examination by local police, video conferences for local operation center, civil protection, of course, hardware, the software, cabling, etc. So, my first proposal is, my and other colleagues, we can use, and in my opinion, we must use 3, 4, 5, it depends, it's a work in progress, million euro of European structural and investment funds for these activities for emergency in our town. This is one concrete possibility. This is one of the more interesting, in my opinion, proposals that the European Commission and the President von der Leyen proposed 1 month ago, because for the European Stability Mechanism, for the Recovery Fund, for the European Bank of Investment, we are waiting for some months, as you know. These sources are available today if we decide. And we can cover these activities since the 1st of February. This was another rule that the European Commission proposed and the other European institutions approved. It's a revolution for the European structural and investment funds. So some media talked about this. Il Sole 24 Ore, for example, Milan is deciding, maybe, or Il Giorno and other media. This is for emergency, but there is another important proposal, in my opinion, more ambitious. But now, I think that our mayor, and not only our mayor, all together have to propose to the central government. For the next multi-annual financial framework, we are discussing now, 2021 and 2027, we need a new national operational program for the rebirth of Milan, of the town. More ambitious. Now we have 40 million euro. We need minimum 80 million euro, but more and more. New rules and different priorities, not only social services, urban mobility and digitalization. It's important, it's necessary, it's compulsory, but also other activities for our town. For example, culture, or tourism, or other important pillars. Next step, it's a political discussion, of course. The central government, the European Commission, the regions, not the municipalities. Because as you know, the regional policy or the cohesion policy is the main stakeholder are the central government and the regions, not the municipalities. But I think that after the COVID emergency, some important towns, as Milan, such as, for example, Milan, we are the symbol in Italy, and I think all around the European Union. We have to discuss in the City Council and with the national authorities, the central government, about this possibility. Because for the rebirth of Milan, we need a lot of financial sources, local, regional, national, and European. This is possible. We need just a political decision. And I think that today, yesterday, not tomorrow, we have to start this discussion with the ministers, with the government, because as you know, there is another important proposal of the European Commission. During my last commission, last Friday, I invited Mr. De Michelis from the General Directorate for Regional Policy of the European Commission. There is the possibility that we start the 1st of January, the next multi-annual financial framework. So tomorrow, there is the possibility then we can add some other years in this multi-annual financial framework. So we can have for Italy and Spain other financial sources for emergency and rebirth of our territories, in particular in Milan. So next step, a discussion in the City Council. I think that we can approve this proposal formally, not only my party, but all together, because we have to work all together in European Union and all together in my town, in our regions. And later, our mayor have to discuss with the central government about this possibility, because in the budget of Milan, we need more than 200 million euro today, because in the last 3 months for Milan was a disaster, as you can imagine, as you can read on newspapers or you can see on the media. So this was a concrete proposal. Last week, the European Commission said we completely agree with this framework. Yesterday, the National Agency for Cohesion said the same. So I think that now we need just a political decision for these concrete possibilities. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Carmine. A very concrete and technical approach to the question. Of course, that's the work that Carmine does within the council. He is the head of the president of the Commission on EU affairs. So, and being member of the Committee of the Region, he's analyzing the situation from that perspective. But I'm sure that he is available for any other questions also about how is life to do, how is the situation nowadays in Milan, and all your questions. I would like to open the floor for more general, if I may, Carmine, or technical questions. Who would like to take the floor? Yes, Nino, I see a point. Nino Tvalvase.
Hello, and greetings from Georgia, and best wishes, first of all, to Italy and to all of you for this very difficult time. I will cut my question very short. When you speak about future support and topics, do you see any room for private sector support with these funds together with the European Union, for example? Is it a topic that is discussed in Milan? Because, for example, in Georgia, it's a very hot topic how to support private sector and especially tourism sector, which was very heavily affected by what is happening now. So that was my point.
Thank you, Nino. Is there anyone else? Otherwise, we ask Carmine to reply straight away. So, how to support the private sector?
Yes, we also have Agron Hachimali, who has the floor. So I'm open your microphone, Agron.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
Agron. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a very good presentation from Milan. I wanted just to ask if there are any concrete suggestion for role to play the municipalities in Albania to respond to COVID-19. I know very well that Milan is a big one. It is a big municipality, and Albania is there are a small one. But based off his experiences, if it's possible to give any recommendation or any suggestion, how should actually Albanian municipalities should follow the works to fight coronavirus? Thank you. Hello.
Yes, thank you, Agron. We got the point. I also we may contribute to that. Who else would like to raise a question to Carmine? Silvia.
Yes.
Silvia Ganzerla. Okay.
Carmine, thank you very much for your presentation. I'm Silvia Ganzerla from Eurocities, and I'm following this debate about flexibility in EU funds quite closely. I wanted to ask you a question. Recently, Commissioner Ferreira, in trying to explain a CRI and CRI Plus package, mentioned Italy as an example and said exactly that under the new flexibility, it's now possible to move money from a region from the south that have not been spent and are not suffering so much from the economic and social consequences of the crisis, and to rechannel money to Lombardy, which is the region of Milan. I mean, clearly was a very bold statement. I was wondering if you have any discussion like that going on in Milan, in Lombardy, and I would like to have your assessment on to what extent the flexibility that the European Commission has introduced are going to be sufficient to deal with the scale of the crisis. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Carmine, we have another hand raised, and then we maybe will give you the floor for the first round of question. Mustafa Ferhat Emil.
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes, Mustafa, we hear you.
Good evening. My name is Ferhat Emil. I am the Chief Technical Advisor of the UNDP-run local government reform project in Turkey, and a couple of months ago we visited Milan, and probably we met with Carmina as well to discuss the municipal reform processes in Italy. And I wish good luck and well-being for the people of Milan in this difficult period. My question would be on not only the specific, fund, European fund problem, but the more general of the coordination problems during their fight against this virus with the central government as well as the regional government. This is an issue going on in Turkey. Have you had any problems with the regional government or the central government in terms of, no, you cannot take this initiative, it is within the domain of the regional government, or vice versa? I just want to know what sort of conflict resolution mechanisms were in place to resolve this such conflicts of job definitions or competencies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mustafa. Yes, I'll give the floor to Carmine for those first four questions.
Thank you very much for all the questions. Nino, private sector and tourism. Agron, role of small municipalities. Silvia, Eurocities, the relations between the regions of the south of Italy and the northern of Italy. And the last, Mustafa, the relations among central government and regional government, more or less. First of all, for the private sector, now we can't use European investment and structural funds in Milan because, as I said, we have 5 axes 4, because the last is for technical assistance, we can use just that financial sources, so infrastructures for social services, urban mobility, just yesterday, because until yesterday it was not possible, and digitalization. So we can use these financial sources for these priorities. We can't use European structural funds for other priorities. As I said, for the rebirth of Milan, we must talk with the central government, because we need to change or to add some other priorities. I said, for example, tourism or culture, because Milan is a tragedy now for these sectors. But to complete the answer, we don't have just European funds, of course. As Antonella said, we have also other funds, national or local, or offers, for example. And with the other instruments, not European instruments, we can help the private sectors. Today from Brussels, from the European Commission, they send from the General Directorate for Regional Policy a WhatsApp. Carmine, the private sector is a big problem in Milan. Just a couple of hours ago, we can imagine some funds, national, regional, or European, because we have to help these sectors. So I think that for the next step, we have to imagine also with European funds, some for the private sectors. The decision is political. So I think that today our mayor and the mayors of the most important Italian towns have to talk with the central government, because this is possible. Other hypotheses are not possible, because these are the instruments that European Union gave us for this crisis. A lot of instruments, in my opinion. Second answer, the role of the small municipalities, because Milan is a big municipality. Yes, I'm a member of the National Association of Municipalities, I said, ANCI. In Lombardy, we have 1,500 municipalities, 80% minus 5,000 inhabitants. So very small municipalities. The president of the association said me 1 month ago, we need to talk with the region, because with the European structural and investment funds, we must propose something for the small municipalities. And tomorrow morning, I will have a meeting with the president of our association, because we have to imagine something for these municipalities. The relations among central government and regional government, and the possibility with the new rules of the European Commission for the European structural and investment funds, we can shift among priorities, among regions, as our colleague of Eurocities said. Yes, it's enough, in my opinion, because I never seen some rules for the European structural funds. The proposal was important, but now the decisions are political. So the central government has some problems, because some regions of South, for example, don't want to give money to the regions of the north of Italy. This is a political debate in the parliament and in the central government. Indeed, the regions. I'm a member of the Committee of the Regions. We have a chat with a lot of presidents of regions that are members, and they don't want some of them, they don't want to give financial sources for the emergency in other territories. For example, from my territory, I'm from the south of Italy, to the Lombardy. This is an important point also for the central government. And you know that in Italy, the cohesion policy give a lot of money to the regions of south and less to the region of north of Italy. So this is a really important point, and the government proposed the 20% of the total, as I said during my presentation, because there is a problem of balance between managing authority, regions, central government, possibility. Some colleagues told me, you want solidarity in Brussels, but you don't have solidarity in Italy. I don't know if it's clear, but I completely agree. And these were the answers and for your first 4 questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmine. We have some more questions. I wanted also to respond maybe to, if you allow me, Carmine, we have also some colleagues which are coming from Eastern Partnership regions and also from the Balkans. There is a joint communication to the European Parliament, the Council, the European Economic and Social Committee on the communication on the global EU response to the COVID-19. Yes. I will send you the link in the chat, where actually some of the explanations regarding how the EU is committed to the external partners of the EU, in particular the Balkans, Agron, have a special role. So there is a sort of assimilation of the Western Balkans into the EU policies. So there are a lot of resources which are used also for the Balkans, and there are some examples also for the South and for the East. I'm going to copy here now to you the document. I would like to give the floor to Jose Manuel Ribeiro, who asked for the floor. Jose?
Hello.
Hello, Jose.
Are you listening?
We are. Yes, can you introduce yourself to all the audience?
Yeah, my name is José Manuel Ribeiro. We are members of ALDA network. I'm mayor of a Portuguese municipality of about 100,000 people. I just want to say that it's great to organize these opportunities to hear and to share and to learn. And of course, I asked also to say hello to my big friend Carmine Pacente, and to say that we follow all the efforts you are doing in Milano and also in Italy. It's really difficult. We are also having problems in Portugal, but in Italy, we know that it's very hard, not only in Italy. I want to say about this topic, because Carmine was perfect. I think that this is also an opportunity. We cannot forget this task. We have to demand for much more transparency about the European funding, because we are entering a period that the European level and the national level and the local level are being forced to spend money in a way, in an incredible way. And we must demand full transparency, because I'm sure that a lot of members of ALDA know the problems of corruption. This is also a time, the pandemic, if we don't care with this dimension of transparency about the funding, we will have big problems after this time. So once more, congratulations to the ALDA network that we belong with great honor, and a very big hug for Carmine Pacente and the work they are doing. Thank you very much, Antonella Valmorbida.
Thank you, Jose. I'll give the floor now, Carmine, to a few other questions, and then you can wrap up, because I know that you have a call in 15 minutes or so. We have a question from the Union of Municipalities of Turkey, Gulfem Kirak Keles. Gulfem, you want to take the floor or me to read the question? The question, though, if Gulfem is not taking the floor, what do you think about the perception and understanding of the importance of local authorities? The way I interpret the question from our colleagues from Turkey is that now the people are indeed understanding the role and the importance of local communities and local governments more than before. So there is a question, how do you see this perception increasing? And we also have, I will give the floor to two other people who are raising their hand. Alina Tatarenko from the Council of Europe. Alina, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you. I'll even start the video too. Hi, and buongiorno, and thank you very much for organizing it. And sorry, I could not join other conversations. Anyway, just a quick comment and a question. So far, I've been following the stories. Obviously, I'm the head of the Center of Expertise for Good Governance at the Council of Europe. And we work on many projects which are mainly focusing on capacity building for local authorities and also providing legal advice to central governments in the areas of decentralization and good governance. So far, all the meetings that I've been to with the OECD, with the European Commission, what I hear from other municipalities, everything kind of revolves about money, which is very important. Don't get me wrong, I agree. But it's the main thing that everyone is focusing about, is about how much can we get more money in order to deal with this crisis. My question is, what are the other things you think you need personally in the municipality of Milano and in general for local authorities? Do you see any gaps in capacities or skills? Is there something? I'll give you an example. We started now preparing a toolkit for capacity building in order to help local authorities assess their preparedness for emergency situations and assess their resilience level, let's say, to emergency situations in order to help with that. Do you think something like that is useful? Do you think there are specific leadership skills to address crisis situations that could be needed? Any kind of, I think you know what I mean. And just a second follow-up to this. Do you see, of course, I agree and I understand that the COVID situation is very, very unique, but do you see similarity of this situation to other emergency situations like natural disasters, migration crisis, earthquakes, fires? Is there something about the need to address in general how the governments, local governments, central governments deal in emergency situations? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Alina. Great to have you with us. Last question, Carmine. I open the floor to Mohamed Sadi, our friends and colleague from Morocco.
Bonjour. Bonjour. Est-ce que
Hello,
vous
Mohamed.
m'entendez? Bonjour,
Yes.
Antonella. J'espère que tout le monde va bien. Bon, tout le monde va bien. Ma question, c'est une petite simple. C'est donc.
I will translate from French to English because you give for assumption that everybody understands French, which is not the case.
Yes. Next month I will speak English.
You do speak English very well.
I do. I must.
Mm-hmm. Please go ahead.
Bon, pour la migration, donc il y avait le problème pour toute l'Europe aussi pour big city, big municipality comme Milan, il y avait un problème aussi de migration, donc avant et pendant le Covid et après le Covid sera, donc je demande à notre ami Carmine Pacente de nous dire qu'est-ce qu'ils pensent donc pour une ville aussi comme Milan qui a beaucoup de migrants, où il y a aussi beaucoup de Marocains, et pour toute l'Europe.
So,
Quelle est la politique?
Oui, merci Mohamed. So
Merci.
Carmine, for everyone, so Mohamed Salih is from Morocco, and he is raising the point about migration. So before the COVID, migration issues and handling the topics, especially for big cities and aggregate communities, was a big issue. So his question is, how do you see that? Is the question over? How do you see how this question will, emerge in the future? So with this question, Carmine, I give you back the floor for concluding, I guess.
Thank you very much for all the questions. First of all, my friend José Manuel Ribeiro, I'm very happy because we talked by phone, I think, 3 weeks ago about the situation in Milan and in Porto, and in Italy and in Portugal generally. Yes, I completely agree. I couldn't agree more about transparency of these financial sources. I was a candidate to the European Parliament last year, and I said, in Italy we are the second European countries after Poland for the amount of European structural and investment funds. I told you 50 billion euro with the co-financing, a lot of money for the multi-annual financial framework 2014 and 2020. But for what? For which goals? Which is the result? The results of this MFF after 5-6 years in terms of development of territories and of regions. This is a very big question. This is the biggest question, the biggest fight, I think, for a political party. Because with these sources, we can develop big cities, digitalization, rural areas. But after 20 years, 25 years, which are the results? It's very important. And I think that an operation of transparency is compulsory, is necessary. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Tomorrow, because of the crisis, we can spend all this money for nothing, or for having results in terms of development not so important in some part of the country. The skills, the capacity in the public administration, yes, when we discuss with the central government or with the European institutions, because we ask for much more European funds or programs or national operational programs or regional operational programs, one of the main point is the administrative capacity, technical capacity, and financial capacity in the local government. Because I think that today we don't have this capacity in a lot of municipalities. And for the structural funds, you need this capacity because the amount of the sources is enough, is important. We have some problems, I think, also in some regions. We have a lot of problems with the rules. So I think that this is another important point that we have to discuss in this period of emergency and of crisis. Migration. In Italy, as you know, it's a very big problem, a big challenge. We have political parties in my country that are fighting against the European institutions, council, commission, parliament about this. I think that in this period of crisis, we risk a fight between immigrants and Italians that don't have instruments, money, and possibilities for living. This is an important topic because also in Milan, we have a lot of Italians that close their restaurant, their bar, their bistro today, yesterday, in the next days, in the next weeks. And we don't have money because I know very well the problem are not only money, but today in the municipality of Milan, a very big municipality, this is a big problem. In the small municipalities, this is an incredible problem because they have problems with the budget for survive. So I think that we will have an important discussion about this topic in the next weeks. And for the last answer, I think that today citizens need transparency of the financial sources. How many sources? And there is a debate in Italy. In the opinion of the government, 10 billion euro. In the opinion of the region, 2 billion euro. So there is a difference. How many billion are selected? How many billion are committed? Because we don't have transparency. I have to ask to the European Commission for having the numbers. So I hope and I think, first of all, that for local authorities, we can have much more instruments. This is the moment, I think. And that all citizens can fight for much more transparency for these sources in a period of crisis, because we need all the instruments, all the financial instruments for fighting in this moment for survive. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Carmine, for being with us for that hour. And our guests, up to today, 51, 52 people, we were even more. So I think it was very important for us to have a feedback. Of course, we learn a lot about how to manage the disease, and that's a clear, we know how to do that. If you don't go out and you don't, you stay in your house, the disease, we know how to fight it. We know much less, Carmine, how to reopen. So today in Italy, we are very happy because on the 4th of May is our big day. So we were supposed to be all very happy about this 4th of May. Finally, we made it after 2 months of self-isolation. And the big news is that it's the big day, but for nothing, because they tell us you can go out, but please don't do it, basically. You can go, but if you don't go, it's much better. So our big expectation is very much frustrated. I hope that navigating through this period, we are learning a lot. We are very much counting on our members to feed our proposal and ideas. We hope that ALDA will be able to also compose strategy that will help our members to stay close in this situation, to help our local communities, both in Italy, of course, together with our friends here, but also elsewhere. And I think that in the future, the local initiatives, the local communities will be the center of the rebirth of a new renaissance of our work together. Thank you very much, Carmine. I want to free you. I know that you have another webinar, something like in a few seconds. And all of us, I see a lot of good friends and names. And thank you very much for being with us in that hour. The webinar will be online in the ALDA's instruments soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You have my email address. If you need some other question, you can write and we can keep in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carmine.
Have a nice evening.
Okay. Ciao, grazie a tutti. Ciao, ciao.